What if I told you that the freedom you cherish is the most sophisticated form of slavery ever created? In today's achievement society, we've become the master and the servant, whipping ourselves into endless productivity towards a myth. We now live in an age where burnout has become an epidemic. We find ourselves exhausted, depressed, burnt out, despite living in one of the freest and most opportunity rich times in history. At the heart of this contradiction is what philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the Achievement Society, a world where we have become our own taskmasters, essentially whipping ourselves into endless productivity. Today, we're going to delve into how the American dream evolved from an aspirational ideal to a mechanism of self-exploitation. We'll also explore the danger of positivity and whether we are as free as we really think we are. Modern society has undergone a profound transformation. We no longer live in Foucault's disciplinary societies, ones with madhouses, prisons, barracks. That has all been replaced by a different regime, one with fitness studios, office towers, genetic laboratories, shopping malls, banks, etc. In traditional disciplinary societies, described by thinkers like Michael Foucault, power was exercised through punishment, surveillance, consequence. But in these modern systems, in this achievement society, people exercise, or rather, the government exercises control by seducing people into constant self optimization. Han explains that modern neoliberalism operates through temptation and seduction rather than restriction, where people feel as though they are free to pursue their desires and dreams, but really they are compelled to self optimize and self exploit. So, to put it simply, in the past, we usually had a disciplinarian, someone we can point a finger at, a boss, institution, government, etc., someone who is pushing us to work harder, surveilling us, punishing us if we don't. But nowadays, that boss is you. It's your internal voice, and we're going to explore how we got there. But basically, this is much more effective because now we think we're free because there's no one to point a finger at, to plead for freedom, to ask for mercy, because it's all in our heads, in our minds, in our hearts. It's been internalized so much that we think it's normal. We no longer need an aggressor because billions of dollars have gone into propaganda, social media, social norms, educational institutions, etc., to make us believe that we should do it ourselves. We should be our own aggressors. And so we become our own taskmasters. We grind harder, we hustle more. And in this American dream, the endless quest for success, right? We develop this unquenchable thirst to achieve more. But what have we really gained from this whole journey? Like outside of burnout, self hatred, belittlement, never feeling like we're enough, needing to go to therapy, fearing going outside, fearing our social circles, and, outside of all that, what have we really gained? Today we face the tyranny of can. And in this shift from should to can, we start coercing ourselves. Han says that the achievement subject is much faster and more productive than the obedient subject. And this is because rather than being ruled by external forces, we are ruled by internal ones, and we can push ourselves harder than any external force could ever push us. Plus, positive reinforcement always works better than negative reinforcement. So, a society telling us you can do everything, so you should do everything. Everything is possible, and so everything should be possible for you. That is much more motivating than coercion. The result here is a deeper, more pervasive form of control, one where the lines between freedom and oppression are blurred, one where people willingly engage in behaviors that self exploit them and burn them out, one where exhaustion is something to be proud of and rest is something to be ashamed of, one where burnout is actually glorified because it means you've done so much, one where just simply being, is never enough. And this would all be kind of sort of fine if the thing we were working towards actually existed. Think about the American dream for Americans, right? This promise that if you worked hard, you pulled your bootstraps up, and you just got to work all day, blood, sweat, and tears. I don't know if that's the idiom. If it's not, please correct me. But never mind. If you worked hard, then you are promised security, happiness, and prosperity. But I don't have to tell you, as a member of Gen Z, this doesn't exist anymore. It hasn't existed for a long time. Maybe boomers were the last to experience it because, boomers. But we are now in generations where we don't make more than our parents for the first time in history. In fact, only about 30% of us will ever make more than our parents or be more successful than our parents right now in this day and age. Hopefully that changes, but I don't see it changing anytime soon. But, anyways, when we internalize this dream that doesn't really exist, we coerce ourselves into endless productivity and pursuit of achievement that won't really happen. And so it's not like it's worthwhile. The self-exploitation, the exhaustion, the deep exhaustion is not worthwhile. We have become entrepreneurs of ourselves. We've turned our bodies and minds into things that can be optimized, sold, right? And I talked about this in my previous episode about the commodification of self, how everything has become a commodity. Ourselves, everything from our thoughts to our physical energy to our time, has become something to be sold, exchanged, and put into the marketplace, right? We have a price for it. We're tagged. We're like cheap, essentially. And so, in short, this American dream has become a projectile that the achievement subject is aiming at itself, a weapon that disguises itself as aspiration, but instead is killing us. That projectile thing, I probably got it from somewhere. I just can't remember where I got it from, so I can't quote it. But moving on. And despite philosophers and authors like Byung-Chul Han providing such compelling evidence that we live in an achievement society and that we are not free, many people will tell you that they are free, genuinely. And that's because this illusion of freedom is so deeply ingrained in every single system right now that we experience. Just think about social media. Most of us spend the majority of our time on our phones on social media. We're not really going through our contact list and calling people. And what do we see on social media? We're bombarded with these messages of basically telling us that we are projects. We have liberated ourselves into projects that we have to constantly be working on, right? You find grind culture, hustle culture, put your head down, cut out people in your life and just work, work, work. That's what life's about. And then you go to the bookstore, maybe you'll get enlightened there. Wrong. Actually, you're just bombarded with self help books. How to make money fast, how to master yourself, how to master your sleep. Quite literally, they've used the words master your insert something here. Every part of ourselves is something to be mastered. And not because we want to become the best versions of ourselves, not because we want to live long, healthy, beautiful, meaningful, connected lives, but because we want to be more efficient cogs in the machine. We want to sit in that high tower, move from a shared cubicle to our own cubicle. We want that view of other towers next to us and skyscrapers because it makes us feel important somehow. Not because we intrinsically feel that, but because we've been trained to think and feel that way. And so, are we really free? What would happen if suddenly you decided, actually, I don't want to self optimize? I don't want to use every minute of my day to be productive. I don't want to buy into this culture, this achievement society. What do you become? You become an outcast. And probably you won't make money and you'll live on the streets, but socially, you will become odd. How could you not want to optimize yourself? Why don't you want to be better? Why don't you want to constantly strive for more? Do you lack ambition? Are you lazy? Etc., etc. And so, even if we thought for one moment to escape this prison in our minds, we can't, because one of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is belonging, and we all need to belong so desperately. I want to belong so desperately, right? Just knowing this information doesn't do anything for me because it's been so ingrained in me that I need to do X, Y, and Z. I need to meet all the expectations. And in that, I think I'm doing it because of me, but I'm not. I'm going to go on a tangent here. So skip ahead if you don't want to hear it. But this wasn't even part of the episode, but it brings to mind something so deep for me, which is unemployment. I know I talk about it a lot, but unemployment has truly been so incredibly hard for me, one of the hardest experiences. And I've experienced other very hard things, but this unemployment made me feel like half a human. quite literally. And I just was obsessed with finding a 9 to 5 job. I hate 9 to 5 jobs. I hate sitting in an office doing redundant work in a windowless room with people I may or may not enjoy. I hate it. I go in when the sun comes up and I leave when the sun comes down. I don't get to move my body. I don't get to see the sunlight. I don't get to cook my meals or see anybody. I'm staring at a screen all day, hunched over. I mean, I'm hunched over right now like a little gremlin, but even more hunched over. Then I come home and barely have time for anything. But I was so obsessed with appearing to fit into society. I was so terrified of deviating from that path that even starting this podcast took me a very long time. And I still feel a lot of shame about it because I'm like, how could I possibly deviate from what is normal and expected? How could I possibly do something that is not achieving the most I possibly can achieve? Because with my education, with my knowledge, with my determination, with my intelligence, I could probably climb the corporate ladder, right? Like when the economy is not trash. I could do that. I could. And society would pat me on the back. I could be exhausted. I could hate my life, essentially. And I could brag about how little sleep I get and how hard I work and how loyal I am to a company that doesn't give one damn about me. And I would kind of sort of feel relaxed in that. I would hate it, but I would feel relaxed. This writing, making a podcast, being here with you guys, believing in this, it's terrifying. And it makes me feel so ashamed in so many aspects. Like, I don't want to tell people I do this, and yet I am doing it. But it's that's how ingrained it is in me. Even though I literally make episodes about the meaninglessness of 9 to 5s and I read books about it and I'm talking about how we've commodified ourselves and how we've become an achievement society, you can know that knowledge and talk about it all the time and truly believe it. But the way we feel is so telling of how pervasive this form of control is. That is my tangent. Okay, back to the achievement subject, which is me and you and all of us, really. So, the consequences of the achievement subject or the achievement society extends far beyond burnout and exhaustion. Those are really important, but there are more things that we are losing as humans. So, in the achievement society, any reflective or meditative moment is viewed as wasteful and unproductive. If you're not producing something, if you're just sitting and contemplating, what are you doing? You're not making money. Piffed. But in this, we live a life that is so fleeting and unmeaningful. Basically, we've just become animals incapable of reflection and creativity because those come in the stillness and in the silent moments that we can no longer tolerate or bear. I mean, how many of us can just sit still without any stimulation for 20 minutes? How many of us can ponder one idea for days, sometimes weeks? How many of us can sit with ourselves and our thoughts, even if not just one single thought, but our thoughts and feelings in general, without something intruding on that? And in this, we've lost really what it means to be human, to live a deep, reflective life. And this all manifests in hyperactivity. We're constantly multitasking. We're not engaging with full awareness into any one thing. We just keep on switching tasks constantly. Tasks. I don't know why I like added a KS after the KS. But, anyways, the constant emails and notifications and workload, and yet we add more workload to ourselves, right? We become these hysterical workers. And in becoming these hollow people, we become a hollow culture. So, Han suggests that culture presumes an environment where deep attention is possible. But what happens when we're all unattentive? What happens to that culture? Think about it. I'm not going to give you the answer to that one. So, we're all hollow and this reflects on our culture. And right now, I want to kind of focus in on culture and talk about the disappearance of negativity. In our pursuit for achievement and self optimization, we've eliminated all forms of negativity. And not just negative emotions, but any kind of resistance or friction that might slow us down or make us question our path. Negativity has essentially just gone away. There's no room for no or failure or hiccups or, suffering. Everything has been repackaged for us into growth and growth opportunities. And in this, we lose the capacity for otherness, right? Because nothing is a no, nothing is negative, everything is so positive. And this is, I mean, modern day, we can call this toxic positivity. But this actually has a real impact. Without negativity, without the ability to say no, we lose depth and meaning. Positivity weakens our ability to feel emotions such as dread or mourning, which are very important emotions in the human experience. Even emotions like rage and sadness, we need to feel those. Because essentially, rage is kind of this, we put a stop to one thing, we interrupt it, something we don't like, and we start again. We start with something new. These negative emotions are all so important, and failure is important, and saying no is important, and having difference is important. So, being overwhelmed with positivity is genuinely ruining us and our culture, and it's weakening us as human beings in terms of our capacity to feel fully, and live meaningfully. You see, burnout, depression, and attention disorders, these are not individual pathologies, but rather symptoms of our achievement society. Han writes that these are not infections, but infractions. They do not follow from the negativity of what is immunologically foreign, but from an excess of positivity. These conditions reflect a society that has pushed the human capacity for achievement beyond its natural limits. It is not the excess of responsibility and initiative that makes one sick, but the imperative to achieve, the new commandment of late modern day labor society. Walter Benjamin describes the depressive individual as unable to measure up. He is tired of having to become himself. And I think that's so powerful in this world where they're like, become the best version of you, become you. We are tired. We are tired of this endless pursuit. And we are tired not just physically, but spiritually. What happens to your spirit when you are constantly striving, but never feeling like you've measured up, never feeling like you've become you, or the best version of you, or the better version of you? What happens then? We are seeing unprecedented rates of mental illness. And this is something that hits home for me. I've talked a lot about this on my podcast on Spotify, and I talk a lot about this here. Talk a lot about this on social media in general and just in life in general.
I talk a lot, so I've learned to just tune myself out.
This depression, the spiritual break, the feeling like we are not enough, we will never be enough no matter what we do or how much we do. We always have to do more. There's always the next thing. And right now, we can compare ourselves to everybody in the world. People who have had so much more opportunities, so many more resources, and just different upbringings, different contexts of life. And yet, we are urged to compare ourselves to them because that's how social media works, right? And what has resulted from this is a society where people are just in a constant state of malaise. Our spirits are broken. I remember one day I was talking to my father after having gone to so many psychologists and psychiatrists and felt like medications weren't working for me. And at that time, therapy wasn't doing enough for me. Right now, it is, and I'm feeling better. But I just pleaded to him and I said, Baba, I think my brain is broken. And he said, No, Habibti, which is my love, my daughter, your brain isn't broken, your spirit is. All of us are spiritually broken. And we are basically the oppressors of that. We are the aggressors. We are holding that stick and breaking our own spirits. And that's how effective the system has become. And so, revolution. Rest is revolutionary. Deep boredom is revolutionary. Not filling your moments with productivity is revolutionary. So do it. Contemplate, sleep, rest, feel boredom, do nothing. And I don't mean bed rotting when I say do nothing. That's doing something and something self destructive because I mean, we all do it out of burnout and exhaustion. Don't do that. Go sit somewhere else. I am not advocating for doing nothing or having no aspiration or ambition. I don't want it to be misconstrued as such. I am advocating for living a balanced life for sticking it to the man, for looking at the achievement society and the system that has built it and saying, F you. I was gonna flick them off, but I feel like let's keep it profesh, you know? I even dressed up professionally. I hope you guys know that in all of my episodes, by the way, I'm like wearing sweatpants. Here, I'll show you. Here are my sweatpants. Um, and I just put on like a nice shirt. And, and it's so funny to me. I just put on a nice shirt for all of these episodes and then call it a day. But I'm wearing sweatpants in 100% of all of the episodes I make. So, if you ever felt like, oh my God, you look so nice all the time. No, usually right before and right after the episode, I'm in hobo clothes because I'm sticking it to the man. Man, rest. I relax and I contemplate in my hobo outfits. So, yeah, we need to conclude this episode. I want you guys to look at the American dream differently. It doesn't really exist. Yes, have ambition, have aspirations, but have balance. Live as a human should. I say this so much. And it's time to re examine how we think about others as well. We have to change internally how we feel about what human life means, what productivity means, what rest means, etc., etc. And with all of that, I hope this episode sheds some light on why you might feel burnt out and make you feel less alone in your experience. The answer isn't to do more. It's kind of to do less. And I know that's a hard thing to comprehend as Americans, especially because, you know, we're so afraid of vacations and resting, but just think about this a little bit. Also, read The Burnout Society by Byung-Chul Han. I just finished reading and listening to it on Audible. I listen to my books all the time because I think I comprehend it better when I'm like multitasking. I know, crazy. I just told you to stop multitasking and I multitask. Oh my God, shoot me. Don't do that. Let's end the episode. I'm ranting now. I thought this was going to be longer. I thought I had more to say. I don't. Maybe I'll say more in the next episode. I wanted to talk about the American dream and like the statistics and mobility and lack thereof and all this kind of stuff, but I really wanted this episode to focus more on burnout. So those are my thoughts on Byung-Chul Chan's work. Obviously, it is much more expansive than what I just told you, and it has really great things in it. I feel like every time he said something, the Audible reader, I was like, oh my God, I should use that quote, but obviously I couldn't use all the quotes. I'm talking too much. I'm Rania Salah. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Ish Matters. Please, if you liked it, like it. If you found it useful, share it. Comment down below what you want to hear next. I am so excited to see you next time, next week, here on this channel.